Well, New Ireland men's basketball coach Pete Strickland, welcome to Ireland and welcome to Cork.
Well, thank you. It's great to be back in Cork.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke on Thanksgiving when you got the job, and we talked about when you come to Ireland, and you've been here for the weekend now.
Yes, got in Friday morning, and though it's been great. And this is the first time back in Cork in a while. Been in Belfast, been in Dublin a few times, coaches' clinics, what have you. So it's kind of neat to be back to Cork. Cork's a special place. This is where I lived for a couple of years. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, we talked about it at the time, but let's talk about it again because your legacy at Neptune, the impact you had on the club for 2 seasons back in the early 80s.
Yeah, and I can't take a lot of the credit. It was a special time then, Lisa. It really was. I was talking to Liam again, one of the club presidents at the time. Him and Niall Reardon. The north side was literally ablaze with basketball fever. It was extraordinary time. It really was. Even looking back now, after all those years, it was just something special. My teammate and I, who was the other American, we lived in Patrick's Hill, and we would walk up the hill to Granabraher Hall, and we'd have a 15-person kid posse leading the way. And I would say, like, Tucker and Spider, we know the way. And they'd say, no, we're going to get you there. They throw their 10-year-old chests out. Coach, or not, I wouldn't coach then. Pete, we're going to get you there. We're going to get you there. The enthusiasm for basketball really was extraordinary. So, I had been blessed to play for 2 really good guys, Morgan Wooten, legendary coach back in America, and Tim Gergerich, another legendary coach who I played for in college. So I had been, I'd been blessed by 2 very good teachers. So I had a lot to give, and it was the right place for it.
And why do you think you were so endeared and Cork endeared itself so well to you at that time?
Well, just the fact that they were crazy about basketball, and so was I. So was I. And I was getting to play it. And playing it professionally on albeit a smaller scale than we dream of in America. We always want to play for the NBA, but so it was a magical time for me too. So I felt pretty good about it, and that translated.
You must have some great stories. Yeah.
I mean, tremendous stories, tremendous memories. Even just that walk up the hill was a great memory. That was kind of so neat. My teammates, the travel, what you remember most as a player is the camaraderie, but there was also just an enthusiasm. The people that were involved in basketball at the time were absolutely passionate about it. I reckon I kind of compared it to the people in America at the time that were involved in soccer. Small numbers, not one of the mainstream sports, but very devoted. And that's what I thought it was like here with the basketball people. So, we were like souls, and I enjoyed every second of it.
What are the specific memories of your time in Cork at that stage when you think back on it now? I'm sure you've met people over the last few days and shared some memories, have you?
Yeah, the Demon, the Demon Neptune games were always pretty special. And actually people forget that the Demons had one of my college teammates, a good friend of mine, a guy named Wayne Williams. He was in that first group of Americans. So, we wanted to beat each other also. So that didn't help any. So that was really a lot of fun. I guess every venue, I just remember the hall was so special. It was the place where everybody met. It was the place where everybody competed. The New Year's Day Blitz, I remember those. I remember the club men of Neptune and how much they loved us and hated us when we lost. And I remember the first Neptune International Basketball Tournament. That was special, and the Americans lost and they were supposed to win. And the club guys, Liam and Niall, 2 good friends now and were then, they were ready to kill me. We brought over this American team. They didn't win. And then, of course, because Demons beat us, they're in the semifinals. The place sells out. It's the biggest successful tournament ever. They make more money hand over fist, probably helped build this place, and everything's okay. So didn't look good there for a while, but it ended up okay.
It came good in the end.
Yeah, it came good in the end, yeah.
Good stuff. So you arrived Friday,
yep.
And you spent the weekend watching the Super League business here, and what were your impressions of it?
Well, initially, the matchups weren't great, so I didn't see kind of the aggravation that comes from a great game where the players are really at each other a little bit and it brings out the best. But Sunday's games were very good, and the final game was excellent between Temple Oak and UCD.
Temple Oak's first loss of the season, wasn't it?
That was, yeah. It was a fantastic game and a great play at the end on a fast break by UCD to finish. And a great defensive stand late. So really saw some great basketball Sunday. Not that I didn't see good basketball Saturday, it's just the games weren't as competitive. Mm-hmm. But I got to see all 12 teams, Lisa, which was our aim for me to get over and really see the guys that will be, competing for the panel. to be on the team. Because let's face it, I can't work our team out right now. Everybody that's going to play for the Irish national team is playing for somebody else right now. And so my idea is the important thing that I do right now is I try to watch them and evaluate them and, hopefully start to formulate a picture of what our side may be about.
And early stages, like when you were watching the games over the weekend, did anything strike you in particular?
Well, the influence of the Americans is not what it was when I was here. We had 2 Americans, so that struck me. Even 30 years looking back, it struck me as a little different. Of course, there's more Euros involved in the Irish game now, and that kind of cancels out that second America to a degree. The development seems to have been slow and steady. And that's probably just my first impressions, but it's so hard to tell. It's just a first, such a small sample size.
Yeah. So since we spoke last as well, I suppose, you've had a little bit more time to plan how you're going to take on this role and what is the strategy at this stage?
First order of business is to finalize the appointment of my 2 assistants. Okay. Really critical since I'll be back and forth. So that's really critical. I'll have that done by Monday. And then also our team manager, have to get that done. So those 3 appointments are, I think, really, really important. Like with any endeavor, I think the better people you surround yourself with, the better you do. And it's really going to be, again, more important for me on account of me not being here centered all the time. So we'll have to get that done. And of course, the second order of business has been just to really get a pretty good idea of the breadth of talent, the particular individuals that are talented, and to talk to some that maybe are talented enough but maybe weren't considering playing. We don't want that to happen. Anybody that's good enough, we want them to be on our, to be interested in playing for the Irish, wearing the Irish singlet and being proud of it. That's a big part of what I want to make sure happens.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about those 2 elements, because first of all, on the appointments of your backroom team, your coaches, your assistants, how will that work? Are you having a selection, interviews and things like that?
Yes, anybody that was interested has been encouraged to get in touch with me directly. So I've heard from, anywhere from 10 to 15 people, maybe a little bit more. Of course, every one of my friends in America wants to be my assistant,
Okay.
Yeah, but they're not going to be. Yeah. Of course, having 2 Irish assistants is critical with me being away. So we already know that. So through those emails, through those conversations I had, and I probably met with 4 to 6 people this weekend already, just to try to get a better feel for them, meet with them as well. So the process is already ongoing, and that, again, I want that to happen by Monday, and a few more conversations have to take place. And but I'd say with everybody that's been in touch with me, I've been in touch with them either via directly or via email, and I probably will meet with each and every one of them by the end of my time here this first trip.
Okay, we won't push you on the specifics of those people, in fairness to those, but have you been impressed by the enthusiasm and the appetite for those positions? Oh,
yes. Yeah. Resounding enthusiasm, which is great. Which is great. People want to be a part of it. People want to, learn, and I want to learn. They want to learn. I mean, anybody wants to learn is a great ideal candidate for me. And I want 2 assistants that, can commit, particularly to maybe doing more than they might ordinarily. We need to get them out and be meeting with our guys as soon as their seasons are over and spending time with them. And there's American candidates for the panel as well that I'll be meeting with and seeing them play in the collegiate level. I just met with a particular candidate, Paul Dick, who plays in Spain. And he was in Dublin for the weekend, and we just met and we spoke. So hopefully he'll want to come back and be a candidate for the panel. And, you just want everybody to want to be part of us.
Mm-hmm. So from the player point of view then, you've discussed the players that have been in there, and then there's that level where players mightn't have the maybe self-confidence to feel that they can play at this level, and bringing that player up a notch,
Part of coaching.
Yeah.
Part of coaching, Lisa. If you can take a guy that's maybe not as good as he wants to be, or maybe not as good as he thinks he should be, and you can make him better, that's what we do. That's what great coaches did for me, and that's what we want to do for our players. But I don't think they're lacking in much confidence. I think there's they hadn't played. We all have family commitments. They're not going to make enough to buy a villa in Spain. So they're, it's not a monetary commitment for them. So those are more probably my anticipated issues would be, again, a guy with a young family. A guy that has a workload that's pretty serious, and maybe he's really going up in his work and can't afford to take many days. So those are the things we want to be aware of, and to try to persuade the better players and the guys that we think will really help us, win games for the Irish national team. We want to make sure that we give them every opportunity to do so.
Pete, it's obviously a massive positive to see that we have a national team again, because over recent years it's been a major disappointment that we went out of that area of basketball. Where is Ireland at in getting back to being highly competitive?
Not sure yet. I would think that within, if we're going to play, we plan to play an international tournament in August in the run up to the 2018 Small Nations Tournament, and we'll do that. Not haven't settled on it yet, so I can't confirm. But I'd say if at the end of that tournament, Lisa, if I don't have an answer for that question, then I'm not doing my job. So not sure what we can do to be competitive yet. Just know that we're on the road to doing so. And I think one of the things that's happened with Basketball Ireland in the last few years, and I've been involved with it through my friends, since I left here, and have been back for clinics and coaching clinics, et cetera, is that it's become very fiscally responsible. And that's really the foundation of any development in sport. So we have that underneath us now. It looks like I think we're ready to roll forward and be intelligent as we move forward, monetarily. But really, not my business. My business is to get this team better, but I think I have a full run up to do that in a sensible, realistic way with Irish players.
I think, to be fair, your appointment on the back of the work done by Colin O'Reilly, your appointment is seen as a massive boost for how the organisation, how the whole Basketball Ireland can progress. Mm-hmm. So looking at the big picture for Irish basketball, how do you think you can have an impact on more than the men's team maybe?
I want to do that. One of the things I talked about with the committee that hired me, I want to have more of a hand. I want to have a little touch on the underage teams. From what I hear, they're doing very well. And spoke with Dave Baker, the coach of the under-20 team, and people were ecstatic about the job he's doing. And I spoke with Dave, and I told Dave I want him in my practices whenever he can make it. And I'm going to come to yours, Dave, because I want there to be more of a continuity between the teams. And back to Colin, I thought, from what I hear, Colin did a great job. And it's just, how are you a player coach? You can't do either job as well as you should. And I'm hoping that Colin is going to be a candidate for our team as a player. Okay. Yeah, I'm really hoping that. Just never heard a bad thing about him as a player ever. And heard good things about him as a player coach too. But again, that's tough, two hats to wear. But I want there to be continuity, Lisa, throughout from 15s, under 17s, under 19s, all the way up. And if we can have a system, I think that helps Ireland get better.
Well, you've engaged in that this week. We've seen, because you've done a number of clinics around the country as well, not just here in Cork.
Yeah, hence my voice. Yeah. But that's what, I had a great touch on some of the younger internationals in Cork today here at Neptune Stadium. It went very well. And I thought they were very eager and receptive. And the game's a simple game, Lisa. We're not inventing anything here. We're just trying to drill it in a consistent, fundamentally sound way. And so the players can feel a little bit of a thread pulling them. And we get better, and then we want the people that are the best in the city, in the cities around, in the towns around, to want to play for us.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think it was Thanksgiving we spoke when you first got the job. Mm-hmm. Now that you're here, how exciting is this prospect for you?
Times 10.
Times 10.
Times 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting. Nothing like getting here and seeing people that will be candidates for the panel. That, as a coach, that's what you're on about. That's a guy we got to bring them together, make a team. That's what, I think coaches are excited about. Anybody who calls themselves a coach, that's what you're excited about. Bring guys together, making a team, playing to our best potential.
Two things I want to ask you. For players, because I hope that people outside of Cork see this interview. So players across the country, what's your advice to them at this stage to catch the eye of Pete Strickland and really show they're serious?
Well, don't worry about catching the eye of Pete Strickland. Hopefully we'll be thorough between myself and our staff. Just keep getting better.
Yeah.
Just keep getting better. Yeah, just keep working. Get that ball in your hand. Keep that ball in your hand.
And for those younger guys then who are looking at wanting to break into that international team in the next 4 or 5 years, want to get their game improved, what do they need to be doing?
Yeah, same thing. It's a really simple game. And you just have to just continue to work at it in a consistent way. And like anything, playing the piano, I would think, your times tables, Lisa, 5 times 5? 25, yeah. So how did you learn those? Just consistent practice. So if I'm going to learn how to play the piano, I got to get those scales down. I got to keep doing it. So it's in that regard, it's a simple game. It's the same game that I played. It played a little bit more in the air than when I played it, but not much more. So just keep the ball in your hands, guys. Keep getting better. You up in Letterkenny, you up in Sligo, down there in Kinsale, wherever you are. Just keep working at the game and fundamentally sound. Like when we grew up, and even when I grew up in America in the 1800s, there was to get better, there weren't things on the internet, but if you want to learn how to shoot a proper jump shot, I'm sure there's some bad videos out there, but you can, even in the middle of nowhere, there shouldn't be any sleepers again. If you develop, we'll find you.
And that said, do you think is there sometimes with younger players in particular, and especially coming from, I suppose, your coaching background, do some players overthink it and because they aspire to play at the highest level or watching things at the highest level and think they have to do that instead of bringing it back to basics?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. You've hit on something that, when Rory misses a putt, Rory's overthinking the line, so it happens to the best of us. The best of even the greatest in any sport. It's when you get the head too involved. So, good players just play. You have to train and you have to work, but in a game, your habits take over. So what players have to be trying to do now to make us better as an Irish national team, as a country, playing better basketball, we've got to work on our habits. Because in a game, your habits take over. If they're bad habits, they take over too. We want to make them good habits. So, but yes, the head can get in the way. You have to just play. When it comes time to the game, you have to just trust the instincts that you've developed.
Mm-hmm. Not trying to give you an out here or an excuse, but what's your biggest challenge in this role?
I would say picking the correct panel. Picking. That'd be my first challenge. Maybe not the biggest, but that's the first challenge. We want to make sure we get the right guys in the team and playing in the right positions. So I feel like I'm a very experienced coach, but I'm also not as aware of our players here. So I'll have to be a quick study in that regard. But, yeah, I think that's the first challenge. Maybe not the biggest challenge, but definitely the first.
And you're here for the Cup weekend next weekend?
Yeah, so I'll be here through the weekend. So it was a great idea to come for the showcase. I'm calling it a showcase because it was just the 12 teams. And I think Basketball Ireland called it something different. I'm sorry, I don't remember what it was called. But then next week for the Cup. And a lot of underage. I think there's a full host of underage games on Friday and a couple on Saturday morning as well. So I want to see those as well. So it's been great to just observe and taking copious notes, and that's helpful to me as I move forward.
Good stuff. And I just spoke with Paul Kelleher there. He's overseeing the 3 teams preparing for the weekend. From a Neptune point of view, that's really massive that they're preparing 3 teams for the Cup final weekend. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not objective because, Neptune has a piece of my heart, but I think they've always correctly emphasize the development of the young people, and so to see that is makes me happy. But I'm impressed with any club that develops their young people. And I saw Cubs up in Dublin, and they've built their own building as well, and they've got young guys coming up. Joey Boylan, I saw his St. Vincent's team on Sunday. They probably play as well together as anybody I've seen on either side of the water this season. The ball just bips around. Joey's a great coach. So their young kids are really impressive there. So there's a little bit of of an undercurrent of really good young talent, is if I'm seeing it right. And it's still such, a small sample size for me, Lisa, just 5 days, but I really see young talent coming. And I think I'm right.
That's good. That's positive.
Yeah.
Pete, the very best of luck, and we'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah, great to talk to you again. Happy Thanksgiving.